How's it going? Colby, 21, college student, trying to be an athletic trainer. So coming from the beginning, I've always been a kid to always be somewhat active. When I was little, I guess I started soccer. I remember that at that point. My memory doesn't go that far back. But I remember in early elementary school and track, and then in middle school I did track, and then I did some of the football stuff because I was like, oh, it looked cool, let's try it. But mostly from when I was 4 years old, I remember starting golf, and my grandfather got me into that. And they're supposed to be a relaxing sport, but no, not when you have a problem with wanting to be a perfectionist on it. You want to hit the fairway every time, you want to make the green, you want to make par. That's how I was since I was a little kid and I knew the game. So I've always been somewhat into sports, and I've always been competitive. Even in golf, when I started, I got in the long drive contest. I was like, I want to hit the ball really far. And I lost a lot. I'm just going to say that. I had no problem. But over time, I got better. I think by 12, I was hitting a little bit longer than most of my people my age. And I got obsessed with the long drive, and everything else went to crap. But that's fine with me. I could hit the balls really far. I think in high school I was able to hit the ball just over 300 yards with the driver. And so that one's always been a part of me. And then, like I said earlier, in late elementary school and middle school, I did track. And that made me stay more active and want me to be more healthy, more fit. And even right now, I mean, I can say I don't do a particular sport anymore, just because golf kind of fell out when I got to college. I thought that was the way I was supposed to go. But, I kept doing stuff about it and trying to contact the coach, and I didn't make the team, but even as a walk-on. But to me, that felt like the end of the world. But I think if that didn't happen, I don't think I would be like this today. I'd be more focused on flexibility and not so much strength, more about flexibility, not much strength. I think I just repeated myself, but you're about to witness my whole mind unfold here. This is just full me, nothing edited. So if I start doing accents like this, or if I go off on a tangent like I am now, just know that I didn't bring it out. Anyway, for me, it was a hard time during elementary school, because at that time I started to have complications with my health. I started to having to go pee a lot, had excessive drinking of water, not alcohol, never had that problem. And my muscles would always feel fatigued, and I would always feel tired, fall asleep in the middle of class, and it wasn't great. But one thing I do remember about it is we were on our trip to New Mexico that we used to take down there because our cousins lived down there, and we were driving back up, and it's roughly I think a 400-mile drive. I think we had to stop like 6 times for just let me go to the bath, let me pee. And I remember one time we had to pull off on the side of the freeway really fast, otherwise I would have peed my pants. Just opened up the door and then hopped out in some bushes. But I mean, I got through some of it by falling asleep, but that was a short fix. And I remember a couple weeks after, I went to the doctor's with my dad. My mom thought a bladder infection. My dad thought cancer. It could have been they thought that both ways. Mom and dad could have thought that was bladder infection or cancer. But we got my blood work back, and they tested it for type 1 diabetes. And yeah, it was a positive. So yeah, from that point on, I didn't know what it was at first. But I went to a clinic I still go to today, and they taught me everything I know and everything I wanted to know. Keep in mind, I think I was seven or 8 when I was diagnosed. And it's a lot to take in for a lifelong chronic disease. It got me because at that time I didn't really like needles, and I had to overcome that fear rather quickly. As in, I went in for the blood work and my blood sugar was over 500. And your average range should be between 80 to 110, 120 area. So, and my A1C was through the roof. It was in a bad way. I mean, I was still fully functional. I could move and all that, but I didn't know what was happening. But that would explain to every one of my symptoms. And after learning all about it, I had to learn everything about beta cells, islet cells, pancreas, endocrine system. I had to learn how it affected my liver. I had to learn how to reflect what glycogen was, and how that all affected my system and my red blood cells. And that was a lot to take in over a weekend. But I mean, now that I know a little bit more and I've gone into the field of anatomy, it made it easier to understand. And I've always had an interest in it. I always thought the human body was pretty cool. I remember going to a body exhibit in Denver's Nature and Science Museum, and it fascinated me. I think I was 10. But there was one thing that couldn't get out of my head. It was the depression and the always constant thought of, why me? And it sucked. I mean, for those who do have it, and those who even have depression, it's a deep gutter. And it's not easy. So eventually, I think I was 16, sophomore in high school, and I had enough. I thought I was a burden to my family. I thought that, I would have to pay them back for everything they paid for my insulin, my sets, my needles, lancets, test strips, the whole bit. And I think it comes out without insurance. Not saying we did, but I think even with or without it, it's well over half a million, or even we'll dumb it down to $250,000. And it got too much for me one day, and I remember my dad stopped me. He said, "What are you doing?" I was just bawling my eyes out. Took me back to the house, and I had my grandfather call. He had said, "Do you want me to call your grandfather, or should I call him, or you call him?" My grandpa is my biggest influencer on who I am as a character. It's who I am today. I wanted to be. I want a lot of his character. I want to make him proud. I want to make my family proud. Now, it's because of one thing he said. He said he couldn't have much left in this world without me being here. I'm his first grandchild, blood grandchild, and that got too much for me. I don't want this to be a sob story. I'm using that as a point to say something I learned a couple of years ago after I got rejected from being on the collegiate golf team. And then I got into weightlifting pretty hard. It was that you can believe yourself all you want. The people around you that truly care for you will be proud of you no matter what. And if they're pissed off, but if they're happy for you, both sides of the spectrum. But the day you give up on yourself, that's when they're disappointed. Truly disappointed. That will last a long time. And not necessarily disappointed with you, maybe. They would be. But you leave them in a constant limbo of what could I have done? And they can't control that. It's true. So, for me, why I want to be this athlete, why I want to be represented by Phorm is because I want people to look at me that know me, or even people that have something similar to me, that they can have something relatable to look at and say, he did it, why can't I? Specifically people with type 1, because it's juvenile, diagnosed very young. I want to try and influence people younger than me that it does get better. That you can still do what you want, just because your pancreas isn't working doesn't mean you stop. You live the way you want to live. And that's it. Like, I'm doing what I want to right now. I'm lifting my fair bit of weight. More than I ever thought I would. I think the way I started working out is in 7th grade, between 7th and 8th grade summer. My dad had P90X. At this time, your body, for me, what I went through was my body just ate away in ketoacidosis, most of my fat and some of my muscle. You could see my ribs. I was 80 pounds in 7th grade when I ended. By the time I got to 8th grade doing the P90X, I was up to 105, 110 area. Can't remember an exact number, but just putting in the work and eating and doing the right stuff with what you're ingesting. It makes sense. Like, that's my proof. And my other proof is this. It's the pump. It's this thing right here. It shows me what my blood sugar is and if I need to correct it. It's getting better. And I mean, yeah, this next set of people that do have it, that do get type 1, I'm doing something for them. I'm in a study. That's what that pump is. I'm in a study to try and figure out if there's an artificial pancreas that works. And this one for me is working pretty well. But knowing that some surgeries are coming up, ways that could be cured, maybe. There have been some cases, but it's not available for everybody. Only dire circumstance cases. But I've always been an athlete. I'll probably always stay an athlete. There's nothing I want to be else to be besides it. I like the way I feel now. I like the way I look to a degree, but I'm always looking to improve because I want to become more insulin sensitive. I want to become healthier than I thought I ever could be. With years to come too, just to see how far I can make it. Because I know people give up on themselves because they don't want to. They don't want to do it anymore. They don't want to do it. They don't think they should have it. Yeah, it's an unfair hand, but it's my advantage. Let's say I don't like having it, but it's taught me a few things. It's taught me a lot of self-management and prioritization. And I want to do that for other people. I want to be something they can look at and say, he did it. Why can't I? I could ask him for advice. And the last thing I'll leave is, I remember there was a diabetic forum when I think I was 13 when I found it. It was for a whole community of type 1 diabetics, for people that had it or people that are just being diagnosed or in between. And I've had it for a few years at that point. I think I was just transitioning over to a pump from needles. And I remember going on there once and seeing kids posting some things like, how did you guys get over getting shots for the first time? How do people get over getting shots to the stomach or the glute or the thigh? That's where mostly they would go, or even the arm. This kid was 5. And I remember asking or telling him what I do. So I told him that just have your parents do it for a little bit and then just look away. Think of something else. Think of a TV show you like a lot. Think of something that makes you happy. And that was it. The kid didn't respond to me back for another month. That month passes. He sent something back to me saying, thank you. Thank you for telling me that. It's helped me a lot with my shots. It's helped me take this better. And that made me feel good that I was able to help that kid. I didn't think it would make me feel that good, but it did. And I don't know where that forum is anymore, but I want to find it. Help out more people. It's what I want to do, especially with stuff that'll help, that you guys make, that did help me make progress. I thank you guys for that. And yeah, I guess that's my story. But wish you all good luck to all the other people that are doing this. And yeah, have a good night.